I'm Christina Simmons with Say Yes to Holiness here, and today I wanted to kind of reach out and touch base because I wanted to ask a question. Are you struggling right now? The time just changed for those of us here in the United States, and even though we fall back, our body clocks are kind of out of whack, but this happens during this time of the year too. We're all kind of getting ready to be like bears and go hibernate a bit. Days are getting shorter, and it just seems like we're in this kind of like in-between time before we start kind of ratcheting up for the holidays. And a lot of people, especially those people who struggle with depression, it can really be a time where you're really struggling to just get out of bed, to go and do your normal routine. And you might be going, what's going on? Well, one of the biggest things is, there are some things that are going on physically and with the lunar cycles and all of that stuff. But the fact is that we sometimes rely upon extrinsic motivations to keep us going, and eventually they will stop motivating us. So today I wanted to kind of jump into a little bit of where I'm a little geeky and share some knowledge about 5 intrinsic motivations that can help you get motivated, stay motivated for the journey. So again, you might be feeling like you're struggling, you're procrastinating, and you're not really getting anything done each day. And that just leads to disappointment, and then that just leads to a frustration cycle. And we just get, really down on ourselves and need to stop doing that. That's number one. Stop doing that, okay? Rather, if I were to tell you that there's really a hidden motivation switch that's in your brain, and it's stronger than any external motivation. It's stronger than money, praise, or fame, or anything else. And it's going to allow you to access and tap into your best self pretty much at will. Would you want to know about that? And that's what I want to share today, is just 5 things. Because it's not an issue, it's not just about a lack of motivation, but it's about the right type of motivation. So I've talked about this stuff before. A couple of years ago, I did a daily breaking open a book called Unhackable. It's not the only place that talks about flow and intrinsic motivators and how our brain works and how we can take all of this knowledge and put it to use. But if you're interested in more like that, go and check out that Unhackable series. But bottom line, there's 2 different types of motivation: extrinsic and intrinsic. So the extrinsic are those external rewards of where we're motivated because somebody's going to pay us, or because we're going to get something out of it, some fame, or, we're going to get praise. Though, like I said, those only work for a little bit of time. The intrinsic motivators are the things that are going to be like fusion energy and keep you going. It's self-sustaining. And what it does is that it really begins to help hard tasks feel easy. This is why extrinsic motivators sometimes can jumpstart endeavors, but it's going to be the intrinsic motivation that's going to help you sustain the effort and to actually finish. So what are those 5 intrinsic motivators? The 5 I want you to focus on are curiosity, purpose, mastery, autotelicity, and autonomy. So we'll get to those 2 A words in a minute. So curiosity is really about that insatiable need to learn. You want to learn, you desire to learn. Even though some of you might think, no, I hated school and I don't like learning. That's not true. It's just, what do you want to learn about? But curiosity is an intrinsic motivator. Purpose, when we feel that there's deeper meaning to our work, to the tasks that we're doing, this is huge. Third, mastery. This is the continued pursuit of excellence, of us being able to master tasks, of us being able to feel a progression in our capacity. Autotelicity is when you end up just doing things because they're just inherently enjoyable. You don't even think about them. But finally, autonomy. This is where you feel a sense of control in what it is that you're doing, and it makes everything that you do feel like your own. So these are the 5: curiosity, purpose, mastery, autotelicity, and autonomy. Why should we even care about them? Again, because if we identify and align these intrinsic motivators, they can help us really have significant, progression. They can really help us have phenomenal shifts in our personal life, in our work life, in our spiritual life. And this is part of why I talk about these periodically. Because when those intrinsic motivators align properly, they're releasing those positive neurochemicals that we need in order to be motivated. And then it also reduces our cognitive load. So in other words, what it does is that you feel less pressure, and also you're less susceptible to feeling overwhelmed. So this is why if we are using intrinsic motivations, then what'll happen is that we're not going to feel like we're totally overwhelmed and there's no way I can deal with this. Also, intrinsic motivators, they focus our drive and they feed into what's known as flow. And flow, very simply, the easiest way to describe it is when you are doing something and that's the only thing you're focused on, and it's easy and you enjoy it and you love it. And all of us can think about those things. But when this happens is that then we are creating this cycle of unstoppable drive. And that's what motivation is all about. So wondering if it actually works? Well, look around at the most successful people in our world. People like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They've been doing this for decades. They've been motivated, for decades, and look at all of what it is that they've accomplished. Or look at Albert Einstein or Marie Curie. They were totally all in curiosity-wise in order to figure things out, and look at what their drive led to, all the groundbreaking discoveries. Athletes like Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, their success, their achievements, they all highlight what happens when we have these intrinsic motivators all going. So real brief, dive into each of these. So curiosity, it's not just an urge to know, but also to deeply understand. That's why I said, you might think that, oh, I was never curious, I hated school, but it was about the fact of you weren't studying, you weren't focusing on the things that really that you were interested in. So it's about deeply understanding them. So just as one way to find out what you're curious about, where does your mind drift to? What is it that you're going, I wonder how that works, or I wonder about that. So anytime that you are looking and you're considering some things, this is revealing the areas of curiosity for you. Second, purpose. Tying your work to a cause or a mission that's greater than yourself. Huge, huge. And it also leads to increased persistence and motivation, because you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for that greater cause or mission. Mastery. This is about the endless pursuit of improvement. We all desire to get better at things. And so when we acquire new skills and then we get better at them, there's a pleasure that's rooted in that continues to help us stay motivated. Back to that A word, autotelicity. It's this ability where we're performing tasks that are personally meaningful and positive, but we're doing it automatically. We're not even thinking about them. So we aren't having to consciously focus on them. We're just doing them. And we experience this when we're doing something and it feels like play, and when we're completely in the present moment and fully engaged. And then finally, autonomy. Autonomy is where you feel that sense of ownership and freedom in your task. It's about having a say in your actions without external constraints, especially when and how you do things. Now, often we'll think that we don't have a lot of autonomy, but I'll get to that in a second. So how might you increase these motivators? And this is where we're going to talk about curiosity. You do that by you see direct results from the things that you're learning, and also you get immediate feedback about things. This will increase your curiosity and continue to motivate you to be curious about things. Having clear purpose boosts your motivation and also your satisfaction with what it is that you're doing. And it's crucial that you identify particular tasks that are aligned with your life's mission. So our life's mission is to become a saint. So what are those critical tasks? Those critical tasks are prayer and frequenting the sacraments striving to grow in virtue each day, and abandoning ourselves to God's will. And when we are able to deliberately practice those things, then we'll feel mastery as we continue to progress. Autotelicity is about focusing on things that you're naturally good at. And, when you strengthen those things that you're naturally good at, then you're automatically doing them and you're finding joy in them. And you love the activity for its own sake. This can happen, especially like with runners or with any kind of physical activity, gardening, there's all sorts of things where this can happen. Finally, autonomy is, if we want to increase autonomy in our lives, then we need to reflect on the degree of freedom and ownership that we feel right now. And then, depending upon what it is that you find, then focus upon, okay, do I need a shift of perception or do I need a shift of actuality? So what I mean by this is you can shift your perspective about current tasks that you have to do. And you can look at them as like a stepping stone in a bigger plan. So the things that you have to do today, they're a stepping stone to a bigger plan. So like, for example, you're trying to get out of debt, you got to pay your bills. So paying the bills might not be fun, but it's a step towards that bigger plan of getting out of debt. Even low autonomy tasks, those things that you really have no say in at all, they still can be learning opportunities to help you achieve bigger future goals. So actuality means that you're acquiring specific skills, networks, connecting with people, knowledge that are then going to help you gain flexibility. This is particularly true in giving you more choices in your job, in your career path, because you know that you don't have to be doing just this. You can go and do something else. And you are taking more autonomy in your life when you're going and you're acquiring those skills so that you have those options. It's also going to boost your confidence. And interestingly enough, it gives you the courage to be able to leave an unsatisfying role or position or task without being afraid to set it aside. You're not afraid of consequences. And then, again, you're able to concentrate on those areas of where you're able to feel more autonomous, of where you are able to determine when I do things and how I do them. So finally, why did I spend time talking about all these 5 intrinsic motivators? Well, very simply, because if you have a high intrinsic motivation, you're going to find that you have greater passion, that you're going to be all in on your purpose, even in the middle of life's hurdles. And they all come for all of us. All the challenges, all of that, it comes for all of us. But if you are relying on intrinsic motivation, then you're going to find that you're going to have greater purpose and passion. Also, you don't want to become a slave to external rewards. You don't want to be, I accomplished this, therefore I get that. Rather, you want to find satisfaction and joy in the midst of the doing itself. And when you are using external rewards, then you become afraid that you're going to lose them. And then you think that you don't have the ability to do these things. And then you don't have the capacity to be able to live that life of purpose and of peace and abundance that God created you for. So when you have intrinsic motivators dominating in your life, you're going to be less influenced by those external pressures. You're not going to feel that overwhelm. And that means you're going to experience greater peace in your everyday life, which is huge, especially in our chaotic world that we have. So this is why you try to detach yourselves from these externals and just become deeply engaged with what's right before you. When you do that, so like practicing the presence of God, this helps you be able to do things like that, to really be present in the moment, to do it more effectively. And then you discover that you're motivated to pursue the things that truly matter, that really make a difference in your life, regardless of what's happening around you. And then you become that loving, joyful, patient, kind, good, faithful, gentle person that is completely at peace with the world and everyone around you. Sounds pretty good, huh? Well, let's be intentional then about coming to know ourselves more fully by focusing upon these intrinsic motivators. And we use that knowledge so that we can become the saints that God created us to be. I hope that you found this to be helpful. Ran a little long today, but if there's anything I can help you, please feel free to reach out. ChristinaSimmons@gmail.com, or go to my website and you can tag me there. So God bless.